Hello. In this session, we will be exploring how to navigate the relevant reports associated with storage, explain how CCO normalizes that data, and the fields that are applicable to each of the providers when looking at storage. Broadly, they break down into two areas where we want to navigate. One is through dashboards, and the other one is through the cloud and tabular view. For the dashboards, we navigate here, dashboards and cloud. And in this case, we want to select a dashboard. We're in the FinOps Practitioner dashboard, which is a good place to start. If you want to change dashboards, and we will as we go forward, we use the Change Dashboard button here. Really important when we're looking at dashboarding costs, particularly when we get to dive down into the detail, is to have a manageable set of data. And you can do that in two ways. One is through the date picker. So here we're just picking a couple of days of this month to review, and that makes sure that the data set that we're investigating is of a manageable size. And then we want to pick our filters. So in this case, we maybe want to select between our different cloud vendors, and we want to select our usage types. And this will vary as we look at the different costs associated with storage that we want to investigate. So maybe we want to look at usage type as well. Using a mixture of these, we can start to drill down a little bit further into the various providers' storage costs. So we'll pick AWS in this case. That will change our view a little bit. And we can start to see the usage type here now broken down into bulk of the others, and then it's providing you with a view of the things that are the biggest hitters in terms of cost. So we can use the buttons down at the bottom here to select and deselect particular things, and that starts to give us a bit of a view over time of the things that are consuming the most cost. But we can limit that down further as well. If we just wanted to look at perhaps GP2, so we can understand what might be applicable in terms of potential upgrades from GP2 to GP3, we can start to filter our views further. So this gives us a view over time by our usage types, and we can select and deselect these to tailor the view a little more. Gives us our daily breakdown over time, and we can start to add in things here that might be meaningful from a business context point of view. Perhaps we want to look at a rule-based dimension such as cost center, and then we can start to see the costs broken down, in this case, all of the storage costs by cost center. And this is the point as well that you can view anomalies. If we had any significant anomalies and we don't really have a long enough period of time to show that, click this button and it will open up a window which will show any anomalies that the system has detected by default. Within this window as well, you can also turn on different column headings to show the list price, show savings, the savings percent, show the usage, and in this case, percent change is shown, but we can hide that if we don't wish to see that. So the top line view, if you're looking to go for trends, the FinOps Practitioner view is a great place to start. If we change our dashboard to the Resource Analyser, this will allow us to really dive in down to resource level, as the name would suggest. And these are out-of-the-box reports. They'll be in the platform when it's created for you, and you can do as you just saw, you can do a textual search or just scroll down to the different dashboards that are available. And you'll notice that there's all public, private, and built-in. So the built-in ones are there by default. Public are ones that you may have created and made public, and private are the ones that are your own, and we'll come to that later. So in here, we have the ability to add lots of different dimensions. Again, if we wanted to pick on AWS as that's our theme for now, but the same is applicable for Azure, and we'll go into the differences a little bit later on. But we may want to add some more dimensions again to start to filter down the information that we want to see. So let's go with usage type again, but we could equally use description. In fact, let's put description in as well, and we can see some of the fields that gives us. Again, if we are looking to plot what resources are GP2, we can start to dig in and look at GP2 by filtering here. Hit return on that, gives us a GP2 selection. And now we can see that one of our providers has disappeared because GP2 is particular to AWS. And now that's filtered our costs again. And you can see the resource table at the bottom is updating accordingly. So now we can start to do things at a resource level. Down here, again, we can pick our cost centers, our cost owners, and then we have a whole table of different column headings for the various things that come from the provider in the cost and use reports from each of them. So we've got lots of different column headings here, and we can adjust a little of what we see through the widget menu here. And we can also start in a pivot type sense to build our views in this resource list in a kind of pivot fashion. So here we've got a cost center, cost owner, but we could have another piece of meaningful information to us. Perhaps it's an availability zone that we're interested in, and we can start to sort our information in other ways. And of course, as this is the case throughout the platform, these reports can be downloaded in CSV and Excel format. For the dashboarding, it is important to remember that you can create your own dashboards. That's really the topic of another session, so look out for the dashboards tutorial. But you can either, if you want to build a new dashboard, you can either duplicate this one and amend it, or create a blank dashboard. And if we wanted to edit this, we can start to go into the edit widgets piece and select that option, and it will give you the various options that are available within the filter menu to start adjusting what you see. So you could do things to start tailor this purely to see AWS, or if you wanted something to look at other providers, then you could build it particularly for Azure and have your dashboard tailored just to that view. So that's the dashboarding view, really good for looking at things over time, particularly when you're in the FinOps type dashboards. And there are a suite of these that we can start to look at trends and get a feel for whether things are increasing or decreasing over time. And again, this is where we can start to view our anomalies. An alternate way of viewing your storage costs is through the tabular view, and you navigate to that via Cloud and Tabular View. And I've pre-selected some dates here, so let's just walk through the table as it's set up. It may be blank in your case, but you can add dimensions here. But let's start at the top. So we have our date picker. Again, just to keep the data manageable, we are selecting just the 3 days of this month, but you can do a monthly view, quarterly view, biannual views, and these give you different periods of time to view your trends over. But just to keep the data manageable for the purposes of this demonstration, I've selected 3 days. And again here, this is really, I wanted to show that there are different categories or dimensions that are applicable to different manufacturers. So in here, we have some selections, but what you can see, let's just deselect that a moment, and we'll build ourselves out a minute. So what else have I got selected here? Anything? Tell you what, let's start again on this, and we'll build out a view that you can take a look at. So we have all of our cloud providers, but equally we might want to look at our categories. So by categories, we're interested in storage in this case. So we can start to just select storage, and that will start to limit our view in terms of our providers. We want to dive down a little deeper than that. So we want to look at potentially the description. And for Microsoft, we want to look at meter category. And we want our usage type. And perhaps our service family as well. And we'll just add in for good measure, we'll give ourselves the purchase option too. So just running through a little bit more of this. So in this case, we've selected storage, and sticking with our theme, we'll go with AWS. And we can start to see that the meter category has gone to none because meter category is particular to Azure. If we change our selection here to be Azure, then our meter category is populated with the various meter category options, but our description, which is particular to AWS, has just switched to none. So consider that when you're seeing none in a field where you've selected a dimension, it's likely that that's because the information isn't provided in the cost and use report from that particular provider. So if we switch back to AWS again to stick with our theme, again, we might want to look at a usage type of GP2. And that starts to build out our table. And we can see here that of that selection, our whole amount is on demand and it's non-discountable. If you had selected, let's just take that away, and we'll just add in Microsoft as well. We can start to see that there's a certain amount of the on-demand usage, which is potentially discountable. So this can be a quick way to understand what of your storage is potentially discountable. And again, by selecting the filter here, you would just see the usage that's applicable to that. When we come down to the table, this starts to give you your granular view. Again, we've selected this by cost center, usage unit, and usage type. And this allows you to start drilling down into the various aspects of your consumption. Some important things here, the dots give you the ability to collapse all of your rows. So you could maybe just pick the biggest hitters for a particular day. So we could just start to look up here at this cost center, and then we can start looking at what particular elements of that cost are providing the line items that you see in the table. Again, we can view anomalies from this point, and we can also look at trending type information and change the views that we see in the column headings. And of course, this is exportable in both CSV and XLS.